And we're live. Thank you so much for joining us for another Op at Home Roundtable, where we're going to discuss gaming in the wizarding world. Here at the Op, we get to do all kinds of fun stuff with WB's Harry Potter, from our deck building games, and now to our new Harry Potter House Cup competition. So I'm joined by the design and development team here at the Op, and we're going to hear all about it. So I'm Ross Thompson. I'm a marketing manager, and I've worked here for a while. Let's pass it around. Pat?
I'm Pat Marino, game design manager at the Op. I've been at the Op for just over 3 years now.
Awesome. Cami?
Hi, I am in-house game designer at the Op, and I started there in '98, so a couple years.
And Nate?
Wow. I'm Nate Heiss. I'm a board game, card game, video game designer. I've been making games for about 15 years now. Not quite as long as Cami.
Awesome.
She's got experience on me.
I started out as an artist, though, so I haven't been designing board games that long.
Which is still cool, though. So, Nate, tell us about Harry Potter House Cup.
Well, it's a wonderful game. I'm really excited about it. It's a worker placement style game, which is not something we've seen in the wizarding world before, and it's a really great style of game because it's a game that's easy to sort of get into. It's not tons of rules, so I'm excited. You're gonna take your students, the wizards, learning at Hogwarts, and you're gonna compete for points in a House Cup competition and try to win it. And it's very exciting because you're going to actually go and have the students learn and grow over the course of the game, and you're going to complete lessons and deal with dangerous challenges. And I think it will sort of bring people into that world and show them sort of the breadth of the Harry Potter universe, but in a worker placement style game. Which is pretty exciting to me.
It is cool. One of the things I've been enjoying with the game is that it's one of the first ones where you're not actively battling Death Eaters, at least from us. Like it's nice for where the students get to go to class and learn different things, and they get to just kind of enjoy being students at Hogwarts. It's not like Voldemort is here with his Death Eaters and you have to battle them off and defend locations. It's just, well, your challenge is, can you do your homework? Right, so Cami, what do you think of the game?
Close to home.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I love this game. I loved it from the first time I played it. My favorite aspect is that your students evolve, and Nate kind of hinted at that. But as you play, your students are gaining levels or knowledge in the different classwork they can do. So you can have a student who's offensive dark arts, and then another one who's great at potions. And so each class has its own set of stats, and you get to build your workers to be who you want them to be.
Yeah, I think when I first saw the game, I believe it was in the Op before I was, in terms of first evaluations, and so I came into the project after it had kind of been worked on and considered and developed a little bit even internally. But right from the beginning, it was clear like that was the hook of this worker placement game, right? As compared to, if I move these boxes, you'd see a lot of my shelf as worker placement because it's my favorite game style. It just had this extra element of the workers are unique, and how you level each worker up each game is different. And so that gives you this extra sort of strategic knob you can turn of, okay, do I want to really hone in and focus my students on one proficiency and try to get them really leveled up in that area and try to do all the challenges that are really heavy in that? Do I try to make them all well balanced and do some middle of the road challenges? Do I make each student have their own specialty and then try to combine them in clever ways? So there's a lot to kind of think about each game as you approach it, and find some unique hooks of how you use that leveling system rather than just round after round having sort of the same spaces to go after. It sort of unlocks things that you can access as the game progresses that you wouldn't have been perhaps skilled enough to do at the beginning of the game, which very much mirrors that student experience of, film 1 Harry Potter can't do nearly as much as film 7 and 8 Harry Potter.
Yeah, I think it's really cool how the lessons especially kind of combo together, and sort of provides a lot of texture to each turn, and sort of switch up the feel of it game to game, depending on how you're developing your students.
Right. So with the game, and how it's like a worker placement, and so you're playing as each house, right? And you're playing as different characters in each house. What was the what was the idea behind like why playing as each student? We're not generic students. Is it important to play as the different characters? If people know, Gabby, Nate.
Oh well, you gotta go for your favorite house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like
I agree. I just it's always one of those things where it's like,
yeah.
you know. So so on that, then, what is your guys' houses?
Well, I mean, I'm Ravenclaw. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you know, I could probably sub in Gryffindor in a pinch, but you know, I'm mostly on the Ravenclaw side of things. Very analytical.
That makes
I'm
sense.
Gryffindor with a little bit of Hufflepuff in there. So I'm the other way. I'm, you know, I've got my opinions. I'm pretty strong, but I want to make everybody feel good at the end.
I respect a good Hufflepuff.
Yeah, right.
I'm with Nate. I'm Ravenclaw. I was actually looking for before we started. I was trying to find my tie from Gen Con's past. I was going to switch over, but I couldn't locate it because we haven't had a convention recently, so I'm not sure where I put it.
That's funny. And then I'm definitely a Hufflepuff. So that's just kind of where I'm at. Though I guess I could probably do Gryffindor in a pinch if I needed to too. I hear you on that.
No Slytherins?
Not here, but definitely at the office. We
have our fair share of people who want to play the Slytherin house.
Yeah, I would say we probably have a majority Slytherins at the office.
It's funny whenever I bring the game to the table, it's something about like the Slytherin personality, I think. But the people who want to play Slytherin, they will say it first. They are like, "I'm playing Slytherin." Like that's the first thing that happens.
You know, it's a good point. Like the Hufflepuffs are usually the last to like claim, but it's also the one that's always left at the end that like, because people who want that are like the polite, like, well, let everybody else pick. And oh, good, it's my favorite one's left. It's like, of course it is. Yeah.
We mean, of course it is, but I guess it is very true. So
we have one of each in my family, so we're lucky because we don't have to like fight too much. We sit there and it's like, okay, we know who is going to play which role each time we bring something to the table.
But will you rotate the box on the shelf when no one's looking to put your house showing out?
Oh, it's always going to be my house showing out. Always. I will come and change it if somebody else does that.
So one of the interesting things on that, because in Hufflepuff you can play as Diggory, and he's one of the characters in there. So in a lot of our Harry Potter games, you can kind of tell where in the movie span they are. Right, like Hogwarts Battle will take you through each one. Defense Against the Dark Arts is relatively right after you've learned the dueling in book 3 or 4 for that. And then I believe like Death Eaters Rising, that's right around the Order of the Phoenix.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. So where does House Competition fall on that boat? Has that been thought about?
I think it's really that 3-4. The movies 3 and 4 in there, because that's when we really start seeing that competition ramping up. 4 less so because you have the whole Triwizard Tournament, but you really feel that house moment. And honestly, even though we see it in 1 where Gryffindor wins at the end, we didn't want to have that moment where Gryffindor just wins the game, no matter what has happened up until that point.
So that isn't going to be like a Dumbledore promo card where he just makes
No, it's not.
I mean, this was joked about, of course, many times over the course of development.
Yes, it
and
was.
there were versions of the game where I had things in there where that would happen sometimes. Of course, we couldn't do it, but it was just too fun not to. Through various versions of playtesting the game. The one I had some Endgame bonuses in there at one point in time that we were testing out, and a funny one was Dumbledore's Endgame bonuses. He would just give 100 points to everybody.
Oh, that's cool. It would make for a nice clink as you're putting those in there too, right? So.
Yeah, I remember playing that early version with the Endgame bonuses and flipping some of them over and being like, you know, I mean, sometimes it was great because it really gave you this last moment tension. And then we'd have some games where like one player swept them all, and it was like, oh, that was the Gryffindor moment where like Dumbledore just stands up and it's like, Neville exists, 1,000 points to Gryffindor, and you're just like, wait, what? Like,
yeah. So we didn't end up going with that, but you know, we definitely thought about it and enjoyed. You know, it's going to be in everybody's.
So how long were you on the development run for this game? Like as you were designing it?
Oh, wow. It's been a long time. I started designing this game, 5 years ago?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Yeah, and and then because I was looking at a worker placement style game that I wanted to design, take my spin on, and then we were looking at the Harry Potter, the Wizarding World, to put on it about. I think that's been about, I don't know, maybe 3 years.
I was 2016, I think. So
4 years now.
It was right about the time of Hogwarts Battle, and we didn't want to get this one lost in the mix and have people get confused. We said, we'll just wait 1 year. And unfortunately, it's been waiting for 1 more year for too many years.
Yeah, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, no, I was really excited because basically once I knew that we were able to use Harry Potter as the IP for the game, I took my design and basically threw it all away and said, okay, I'm going to take the core concepts and just redo it all so that it fits really well with so and I think that method worked out great because I had a lot of lessons that I had already learned from the first year of development of the placement game, and then I was able to apply them in the ways that they could evoke thematic things in the universe. So yeah, but it's been a while.
That's cool. I'm glad it finally gets to come out. When I had come back to the op, there was rumors that we were working on a worker placement game, and I didn't really know what that was for. So when I heard that it was going to be for Harry Potter, I'm like, oh, awesome, right? So, and now as it's been coming along, which if we want, we can unbox it right now. You guys want to do that? If we got it, cool. Let's do that. So here we have Harry Potter House Cup competition. This is one of our early preview sets we've got at the op. So here we go. It has the cool little Harry Potter bar along the sides, and here's a look at the back. So it has a nice look at the board there, all the different things, and then a couple other components. So we'll go and pull this up. Let me move my camera down. Excuse me for that there, and I can move my notes a little bit. Okay, so I'll move it this way. Here we go, the lovely box. The art is fantastic. I love how it hits all the different beats there. So we'll pull the dun, 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 dun. I feel very, and so as we see right now, it already has the different houses on the sides there, which is pretty cool. We'll leave it on the best house side.
No, shots fired.
There you go. There we go.
I think there were 2 Ravenclaw.
No, yeah, we'll have to have. There are 2 Ravenclaw. Look at that. Right there we go. So as we're pulling that down there, now we've got the rule book, which is great. It's nice and thick. Lots of cool. You can. Oh, that's neat. I didn't realize that. The page for champions there.
Oh, absolutely. We wanted people to be able to record their victories as they were playing, and so that was one of the fun little tidbits that we added to it.
That's fantastic.
Making it your own.
Cool. It's got a good walkthrough, and then of course the nice back there, and then we've got a first look at the board. So it opens up, and it has all the different places for your challenges and lessons. It also has the different classes, and I will do a full open. I don't know if I'll be able to get the full thing on the screen, but let's find out.
Yeah, it's a big board.
Big board. Look at that, right? Oh my gosh, big board. So it's got all the different, oh, nope, that's not gonna work. Okay, we tried. So we just got everything going on there so you can see all the different classrooms you can visit. And then I love these. So we have these, all the different households. If you guys can talk up too. So we've got the Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, and then I guess we'll show off Ravenclaw.
I guess.
these
You can put Gryffindor back on top.
Okay, cool. We can do that. So, so as we have these here, so this is where we're going to have all the different places for each student. So you can see the student name, where it's going to show off their potions, charms, and defense skills, and also a place to have all their challenges cards and magic abilities. And what's nice here too is I'll pull one of these up. So as we're going to get, this has all the different tokens, which help, they're going to be on the slider board. So we've got our whole bag here. I'll put these back in there and I'll pull up a couple. And what these are going to do, and I'm sure Nate and Cammy will talk about it more, but these essentially live on your character sheets. And as they gain more abilities by going to classes and having lessons, they will then slide and fit. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll add to your different abilities as you complete challenges, which is great. And they fit right in there really nicely, and they slide and they hang out. This is, I think, one of the really cool parts for this, because like it really adds to the quality of the components. So I'm really glad that we all pushed to have that happen. And they, on these components, we tried zooming on it earlier, you really can't see it, but it has the Hogwarts cup in there a little bit, right? So you
that
got
was
the
a good
nice
picture right there.
Yeah.
And the
It's coming in better this time.
Yeah, so they'll open it. Of course, it zooms out again. But we've got that going on, which is great. Then I've already built it, so it fits in there so nicely. But one of the really fun parts about this game is, just like in the movie, you've got a place where it keeps track of all of your house points. So Cammy, tell us about how this came to be.
So this was really fun. In all of our early editions, we had a track and you scored them like a typical Euro game where you have your points right there and everybody can see what you were doing. And we really wanted to make it special for the Hogwarts fan. So I pulled out some great big gems that I had at the office in different colors, and I was using these nice glass yogurt cups, and we were putting them in there as we were playing, and that was how we were tracking our points. And everybody's like, this sounds so good. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of satisfying when you score points this way. And they're like, yeah. And we couldn't afford them, and finally figured out a way to make it to where we could put these in the game, and you have that house hourglass sitting at the table, and watching it slowly fill with the gems as you're playing is amazing. Like, it's the best part. Everybody wants to put their own gems in.
It has a very satisfying clink, clink, clink to it as you're doing that.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about it too is I know during the development, the initial version had a score track, and then we tried some things with hidden scoring, and there was this sort of debate of, do you want to see exactly how many points everybody has and who's in the lead, or do you want to have some element of reveal at the end, so that if there's a sort of big gap between first and last, you don't want that last place player to disengage. And we had some tests, I think more towards the early end, where we had those kind of like runaway games where it was sort of like, oh, I don't know, this doesn't feel as fun, right, for the person in last. But then when we had totally hidden scoring, it felt a little bit too like off kilter at the end of like, okay, now everybody total up your secret points and find out that, oh, I thought I was doing well and I got crushed. And it was like a weird kind of dynamic there. And what I like about these gems is you can get a sense, right? But they stack a little bit differently and they fit a little bit differently as they fall into the vials. So at a quick glance, you can see like, I think I'm in contention for the win right now. And I just got to play it carefully and make sure I get a couple more gems in there. But there's always that like last minute tallying at the end of the game where you count them up and see like, I was neck and neck, but did I get it? And that little bit of suspense is nice at the end of the game.
Yeah. And then we'll keep on our unboxing here. So here we have our challenge cards. We have all these hard challenges, and then we've got our easy challenges. And there's a big old stack. These go on for a while. And then we have more of our
those are lessons
you can do. And yep, so these are all a nice just grip of cards there, which is fantastic. And then dun, 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 dun. Here's your nice little legend to help out with all the different locations and all the different icons. And then here we have all of the cool locations, and these will go on the board and switch out as well. So you can get all the different places you can visit in the Wizarding world, and they've got different things that go on. So
It's a nice addition there too. That Nate, I think you added right around the time I started doing a little bit of development on it. We had the new location cards that every game you have some variance in those worker placement spots. So you've got some steady spaces that are always on the board, and then you have some locations that reveal as the game goes on, and they're different each game. And as somebody who plays a lot of worker placement, I really like that touch of you can't kind of map out your strategy of I always use these exact same spaces to try to level up my characters in this way. You've got that extra element of, well, if this location comes out this game, can I pivot my strategy to really capitalize on that? And then you also mentioned the lesson cards, which is this whole other element of, at this once per turn, basically you can use one of these lessons for an extra ability or combo or thing. And the players who figure out how to maximize those combos with the worker placement spaces at the right time for the challenges available, it's all in that timing and sequencing of those things, which I really enjoy. Is that, you can play and just kind of like have the lesson cards and use them occasionally. But if you're up against a player who's figured out those sequences, you're going to realize quick that like they're going to get a jump on you and maximizing those things.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of a skill element to it. I mean, I was really excited about the locations because, it really did two things that were great, which is with worker placement games, like you're saying, you got to change it up from game to game. And, really advanced worker placement games, sometimes everything changes every game, but it's just too much. And this is, we were trying to make a game that could really bring everybody into the world of worker placement. And so what this does is it sort of changes just enough so that there is different incentives every game to do different strategies. And also, it's a way to just show off cool locations in the world of the Wizarding world. Otherwise the students would be stuck at Hogwarts the whole time, right? And Hogwarts is lovely, of course. It's a very magical place. But there are so many places that are cool to visit and see in the Wizarding world. So it's nice to see those kind of change the nature of the game every time. So it's kind of like a win-win. I was very excited about it.
It definitely is a pretty cool treat. So here's a question for the group: is what is important to capture when making a Harry Potter game? Like what moments do you want to feel? What is it about the Wizarding world that is important to relay in a tabletop medium?
So for me, it was there's two things that I really wanted to capture. One was the growth of the students, right? It's about learning and growing over time. I mean, the whole book series is about that essentially, where it starts from a very humble beginning and they sort of learn and grow. And so I wanted the mechanics of the game to reflect that. And then the other thing, and so that is reflected in gaining, levels in the classes. So if you level up your charms or your defense against the dark arts, those will let you use more powerful lessons. That gives you bigger benefits to let you, kind of solve your problems in the game. But the other thing was just the use of magic. It's Wizarding World, and so we have a resource in the game that's just magic that you can kind of use to solve your problems. It fixes a lot of things. It doesn't do everything. You can't fix all your problems, but it fixes many problems. And so just seeing people use magic in that way, it kind of was nice that it tied in well.
Cami?
Well, I absolutely agree with all of that. For me, to make a Harry Potter game, you have to kind of go really from the easy to the challenge. Like that first round, you're just kind of easing into it. And kind of as Nate was saying, that first book, the first movie is kind of sweet. And you don't play real aggressively. Everybody's like trying to feel the waters in this game. And that first round, everybody's like, oh, we'll take this space. It looks good. And there is no real competition. Oh my goodness, that last round, there is a fight for first player and those final spaces is who's going to get the best spot. And to me, even just those moments of the player interaction with the game, because they're progressing the same way we want our students to progress too. And I love those moments of people kind of fighting over the table and getting angry, and not in a bad way, kind of just.
Well, like, oh, you took my spot.
Yeah.
Pat, what do you think?
Not a lot.
So in addition to like those like kind of gameplay elements that are important for giving the feel of the Wizarding World, it's some of what Nate was talking about with locations, right? Is players want to feel immersed in the world, right? You want to feel like you're in Hogwarts and you're going to the classes that a Hogwarts student would go to, and you're learning the things they would learn, and you're casting the spells they would cast, and you're completing the challenges that the characters faced, and doing it in a way that there's enough flexibility to make it your own. And we've talked about this with other IP games as well, is, you know, you want to have your own sort of authentic opportunity to play out the story, and not have it be so on the rails that like there's only one conclusion, right? Like we kind of joked like, oh, Gryffindor always wins. And if that was how this game played out, it's like, no matter what you do, Gryffindor always wins. It would kind of be like, why am I going to play unless I get...
That'd be funny once.
Yeah, right. or twice if you play Gryffindor the second time. But it's giving you that ability to, as a fan, both have like an authentic experience to the Wizarding World, and what you've seen on screen or read in the books is like, okay, I feel like this is definitely Harry Potter, but it's also definitely my own experience too. And you can walk away kind of having your own story or your own experience with the Wizarding World of, you know, the time I pulled off that clever combo and did this thing, and then we, you know, got the challenge card that, you know, was just funny because of the timing of when we completed the homework challenge or whatever it may be, that lets you create your own little story arc within it. And I think that's a really important thing for us to capture, and then to make sure that like the artwork and everything brings that all to life. Which of course, as we've just seen with the unboxing, like there's a lot of like, you know, the house banners and that kind of presence to it, and the different sides of the boxes is a way to display your fandom. So trying to bring all that fan experience into it, so that when the diehard fan who's seen these movies 50 times each picks it up, you know, they're proud to display it on their shelf and say, yeah, this is the game.
Which is cool. Like, and there's so many moments. I'm going to tell a kind of a funny story, but I hadn't played the game until we were doing the licensor video, Cami. When we were showing that. So I'm just probably behind the scenes too much, but so we've been getting to the point now with our studio in house where we can do more videos and show off stuff. So we were doing a licensor video. So we were going to show off the components and how it was, and I hadn't been able to hop into a playtest yet. But since I've been running all the live stream, it made sense for me to walk Cami through how we're going to do that. And as Cami was running us through how to play, I wanted to keep playing. Like it was an immediate, like, we can just keep playing, right? And she's like, no, this is just for the demo. And I'm like, oh, well, now we're going to play with this video stuff.
That was really fun. I hadn't realized you had never played before when we went into that. And so to see you kind of geek out over the game, I'm like, oh, that's the experience I want the people who play this to have, is that moment of, this is awesome. I feel so in world, and I just want to be part of it.
So, which then leads into my next question is, so as it starts to get out on shelves and people are going to start playing it, what are you guys hoping that players are going to experience, and what do you want them to get out of this game?
Well, I'm hoping that they're gonna stream it so I can watch.
That would be great.
I'm not able to see them play for the first time at the conventions and see those lovely expressions, but that's not exactly the question you asked. I know.
No, but I mean, that's a good point, though. It is definitely different that we're not able to be at shows and show this off, and we had a lot of really cool plans that we wanted to make happen at shows this year, such as Jake Origins and Gamma and Gen Con and Geekway and all those great shows. And so, but it is nice that we can kind of roll and we get to talk with you now, Nate, and show the game off. So, but it is not the same.
Well, as for the experience that I hope they have, though, I mean, I hope that they come into it and feel that, oh, this is really an authentic, Wizarding World experience, and they really find themselves feeling some of the same things that they feel when they read the books or watch the movies or experience any of the wonderful products, but then also kind of get hooked on the gameplay, and it's something that they want to bring to the table over and over again, something that they want to show their friends. Hey, check out cool new Harry Potter House Cup competition game, right? So that's what I'm hoping, that there's genuine excitement around it, not just from the initial of like, yeah, that's really cool, but like after they've played it once or twice, that sort of persists. That's what I'm really hoping.
Pat?
I think, every time we tell people about this game and having it at like New York Toy Fair and Gamma earlier this year when we were traveling, you have that initial moment where people are, okay, tell me about House Cup competition. You say, okay, it's Harry Potter and worker placement. And people who know games and play tabletop games and hobby games, like, okay, can I have it? Can I have that copy that's sitting right there because I need that? And what I've seen is for like our most devoted Hogwarts Battle fans who are used to that cooperative experience, and they've seen what we can do with Harry Potter in the tabletop space. They're very eager, and when you say, okay, this one it's strategic and it's competitive, I always like the reactions you get from some people who are like, oh good, because and we saw this with Defense Against the Dark Arts as well too, right? Like, okay, we've been playing so much cooperative Harry Potter that it's time for me to finally like dominate in a Harry Potter game and show my family or my game group how it's done. And I think this one for me is, I like to joke, as a Ravenclaw, this is my game, right? Like there's sort of like the fighting Death Eaters elements of the other games that are very Gryffindor to me, and the cooperative aspects that are very Hufflepuff. This one is like the really clever, how do I sequence my strategy to outwit my opponents, right? And like get that slight edge so that the scores are close, but that victory feels that much sweeter because it wasn't like, well, I rolled lucky or I rolled bad on the dice. It's I figured out that sequence at the right moment, and I did that thing that made me feel like really clever in the game experience. And I think that's something that always has people walking away going like, that was really fun and I want to do it again.
Amy?
Yeah, definitely that I want to do it again moment. And that is the one thing I've noticed in all the play testing and in the development as we were going through this, is trying to help pull that out even more. And you showed briefly those location cards, and they change up the game so dramatically that you immediately want to turn around and say, okay, let's play with brand new locations and try this one more time at the table. Because I know if something different had come out, I could have put that strategy together. And you're immersed in the world from the very beginning, and it's a different take on it. And we've never made a Harry Potter game that's all about going to school. I mean, that's really what the game is about. And yet it's so cleverly hidden that you forget that that's the whole point, is that you're back to school and learning lessons and doing homework. Oh my goodness, there's actually homework in this game that has to be done and all these things. But it's fun in such a neat way. And I know people are going to respond to it and really want to do it more than one time.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think every game I've been a part of, at the end of it, there's always this impromptu discussion of, oh, well, if I'd done this differently and I noticed you did that, and next time I'm going to try to do this better. And, I've certainly played plenty of hobby games where you kind of finish and everybody goes, oh, that was interesting. That was fun. And it goes back in the box. But it's always a good sign when people are like really eager to finally process their strategy and what they were experiencing and what was happening in their own head that they didn't want to share during the game and give away their strategy. But, they're like so eager to like let that all out at the end of the game and say, oh yeah, this, and I noticed you did that. And that's been my consistent experience with House Cup, is that people want to engage in that dialogue, and that has them wanting to either play again immediately or set up the next game day is going to be House Cup again.
That's great. That's kind of the end of all the questions that I had to ask. I'm really excited that we get to show off this game, and it's going to be a good time. I've, as I kind of said before our recording, I've got friends that have been hounding me, like, when is it going to be coming out? I want to start playing. I want to get into it, and I know I'm going to get crushed by them for sure. So that'll That'll be good. And it's fun. So are there any lasting things you guys want to say for the game, or Nate?
Just that it's been really wonderful to be able to work on this game, and I'm really truly excited to finally see it manifested, and I can't wait to see it in players' hands. I want to see what folks have to say. I'm just super excited about it. It's been a pleasure.
Well, Nate, I want to see it in your hands too. I don't have a copy either. Ross is one of the very few people I know who actually has been able to.
Hey, I had to like sneak in and get it for some live streams. So believe me, I feel pretty special too.
Yeah, you should. As he said, it was one of our pre-production samples. It was just a chance to get to test it, and I haven't seen it, and I know you haven't, but I can't wait till you get a chance to see it and show it off to all the people you've play tested with, because I know the people that we've been playing testing with down here are just as excited.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I have a lot of people hounding me.
Same.
It'll be good. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody, for this wonderful Up at Home roundtable. I'd love for us to do another one, or some kind of, once we can have the game and play it and do something, we'll have to figure something out. But it's great. Nate, thank you so much for coming on and sharing about the game and a lot of cool stories. Pat and Cammie, always good. And as always, you can find more about Harry Potter House Cup competition at the Op.Games. You can, when it's available, you can find it wherever games are sold. So you can go to the Op website, or you can go to your local game store. We're super excited. And be sure that once you've got it, live stream it so that Nate can see what's going on. Take photos of it and let us know which house has been winning. Because obviously Hufflepuff is the best house, but other people have thoughts too. So it'll be good to see what happens for that. But it's true, at the end of the day, Dumbledore will decide who wins anyway. So it'll all be good. Thank you so much, and have a good day.